Welcome to Bodyholic with D. This is part 3 of a very special series called Creative Echoes, Women Navigating Conflict Through Artistic Expression. We dive into the profound experiences of female artists in Israel amidst the ongoing conflict with Hamas. While I often discuss stress and trauma from a scientific perspective, the essence of the series lies in the genuine voices of those living through these challenging times. In a world where life in Israel and the experience of Jews globally has become exceptionally challenging, I truly believe in the power of real, authentic narratives. Amidst the cacophony of male voices during wartime, let's turn our attention to the voices of female artists, recognizing the cathartic and illuminating potential their stories hold. Today's guest is Vered Moshkovski. She is a multi-talented individual who defies limitations. The conversation you are about to hear is so honest and so real. I got a little bit welled up a couple of times in the middle. Vered wears different hats as she is a truly gifted singer-songwriter. I actually have linked a few of her works to the episode notes. She is a dedicated mother of 2 and a highly skilled social lawyer. Take a moment, soak it in. I know, I needed a moment as well. And additionally, she navigates life with a genetic condition that affects her vision. Despite the challenges and really having her hands full, Vered exudes resilience and determination, and she continues to pursue her passions, helping and inspiring others along the way. So sit back, and I'm sure you'll enjoy. Vered Moshkovski, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for saying my name correctly. It's not always happening.
It's a pleasure. I'm just going to say something real quick, but then I want you to introduce yourself in your vocabulary and how you would like to introduce yourself. But I just want to say to everybody, first of all, just Google Vered Moshkovski and listen to her music because it is so good. You'll sit down, you'll listen, and then you'll just start floating. So that's first of all. But I also want you to give a little bit of an introduction about yourself and kind of what led you to this point briefly. And then I have questions that I want to really ask you specifically about this period of time in our lives that we are going through globally.
Sure. I would love that. So I'm a musician. I write my music, lyrics, the music, I sing. I also play the keyboards and piano mostly. I'm also an attorney. I'm a professor in law. I'm a director of a legal clinic. If you would like, I can explain a little bit later because it's also very relatively speaking to our time, what I'm doing there. And I'm also a mom for 2 kids, 2 girls, very young ones.
How old are they?
And I can talk about each one of the things like lots. So,
how old are the 2 girls?
Yeah, 2 girls and a dog.
But how old are they?
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear you for one moment. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Daria is 3 years old and Talma is 1 year old.
Oh, really small with a small age difference. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Dalia was
you're
1 year and 10 months when Talma was born. Yeah.
okay. So you're a busy person.
Very, very busy. Actually,
Right.
yeah, very busy person. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I'm even more grateful right now. Thank you so much. Um, you do have a very interesting uh, kind of puzzle that you live because between being an artist and an educator and a lawyer and a mom, there's a lot going on, and now we found ourselves uh, in this situation, in this war situation where we both are. We're in Israel, um, where Hamas attacks brutally Israel on October 7th. And I'm very interested in how your creative journey intersects with the situation we're in now. But also, you can feel free to talk about any of the points in your life because I think that for you, it all, you're one person who deals with everything. So you probably,
Yeah.
being a lawyer, kind of has an impact on your motherhood, has an impact on the music, and it all kind of boils into this one pot. So I would be so interested in finding out that moment where everything intersects.
Yeah. Okay. So first, I will say that I think I'm a person who has like a lot of conflicts um before this attack as well. But mostly I manage my conflicts, you know. I mean, I feel like I'm an artist, but I feel like I'm also, I'm not sure if the right terminology is a social attorney. In Hebrew, you would say that someone is a social attorney. So it describes the work, which is not a private sector, it's not a public sector, it's the third sector. So I feel in a not war life that I'm actually all of the things I'm doing, and that it makes sense because I love to perform on stage or in court. I love to do good for people with my music or with my work. You know what I mean? So I feel that when you look on like typos and strict perceptions, you would say, oh, how can a person can be like an artist and a lawyer and how can she be like, but actually if you think of it like for 2 seconds, it all makes sense.
Totally.
But since the war, I actually feel much more conflict with everything. So I'm like trying to think where should I start. So I will just start as I feel like my thoughts are. So I
Absolutely.
was waiting for October 8th like hell. Like I was waiting so much for Sukkot, which is a Jewish holiday that ends on October 7th this year. I was so waiting for it to be done because on October 8th, my girls were supposed to start for real their daycares. And then I was supposed to start a routine in which I have like partially much more freedom with my schedule with being a lawyer and an artist. As I work strictly not with a full-time job, so I will have time for my art. But every time I need to choose, like for example, the girls are off and it's August, and there are like uh, things that are not in my control, like sick days and stuff. So the art is always, since I'm a mom for a few years now, is going aside, which is a very hard thing to admit, but this is the truth because it's not like a paycheck salary. It's not people that depend on me. It's like to be vetted, which is me all the time. You know, I can write
Mm-hmm.
music in any hour. I can play the piano. Like theoretically speaking, it's my problem. It's my gift. It's my everything. But so I was so waiting. I had like a sheet with lists and stuff I'm trying to do with the new routine after the holidays. So for me, it really stopped all of my plans in a sense that I went down in like Maslow pyramid and was just thankful I'm alive, which
Right.
is an awful thing to say, but this is really how it feels to be here, you know? Like, thank God I was in that Saturday in Tel Aviv and not 1 hour away in the south. So it really stopped everything at the beginning.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. So it stopped everything in the beginning. I don't remember. Are we 51, 52 days into the war? Something like
I
that.
think, yeah, something like this is unbelievable, you know? This is really unbelievable.
Right. And I'm curious, like, how did it evolve until this point? Because for 2 weeks, personally, I was also full-time mommy and also feeling like I I woke up today. Okay. Okay. And
I'm
and then
so
the next day
lucky.
I woke up. Right. So
Yeah.
I really, that really resonates with me. And then now that we're looking back, and we're still in the midst of it. But now that we're looking back, how has being in the war situation in, motherhood, in your artistic self, in your lawyer self, how has it evolved?
So I think it's interesting because in some ways you're saying it's 50 days now, right? So it feels like so like not in a war time, 50 days can be not a lot. But I feel, I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel it's like feel like an eternity, you know, this war. It's similar that when you're having a baby. So one day of a baby feels like a week for you. So this war had so many stages for me as an artist and as a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer and as a mom. On the artistic level, at the beginning, I had a lot of thoughts. Um, should I go and perform to people who left their home, to injured people? That like there are a lot of populations in Israel right now that is in a very very bad situation, and music, you know, can be fun, can be something to escape to. I'm sorry, and I thought about it. One moment, I'm sorry.
I'm also going to say that it wasn't necessarily, they didn't leave their homes, more like they were either evacuated or their homes
Yes,
were destroyed.
thank you for the yes. They didn't have a home.
Right.
Their families were ripped from them. They were part of the families were murdered. With like the people that I'm talking about are people that weren't lucky enough to be at their home and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things I thought, as a lot of other musicians, is
Mm-hmm.
should I go and just, you know, go and sing and to make them happy? Because it's something that I can do. But actually, I felt that it won't be important enough, which is was an interesting thought. I mean, I felt that it's more important for me and it would be more useful to the world if I'll be home with my girls and be a lawyer. I felt that a lot of musicians can go and sing, but not all of the people that can be with my girls can give them um, the feeling or the illusion that they are safe, that they can be happy. And also, um, my lawyering is regarding people with disabilities that related to security forces. Um,
Wow.
I'm sorry, I feel like I need more water. I have no idea
Take your time.
what's going on. Maybe
Take your time.
it's all the war talk makes my just kidding.
No, I actually, the second the seasons change with me, I
Yeah,
have coughing attacks that
allergies and stuff. Yeah, I have the
yeah,
same.
yeah. Yes, take your
And
time. It's all good.
this morning I woke up amazing. So I don't know why, but I mean I felt very healthy. But now I feel like all my
It's
sinuses.
okay. It's okay. Take your time.
I have all the drinks the tricks before performance, being without voice, and then to go on stage to sing like you're 100% healthy, and then you go down from
Wow.
the stage and you're, oh, I can breathe.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Wow.
adrenaline is good.
Yeah. Adrenaline
Um,
does work.
I love it. Yes. So in Israel, we have a specific law for veterans and police officers and fire workers and whatever that got injured or mentally or physically while their service. So this is a specialty that, in my opinion, is very important also when you don't have a war. But as you can imagine, after the war has started and we had so much injured soldiers and police officers and fireworkers and everything. So it got much more urgent to help this population. And as I said, I'm doing a clinical work, which means that I'm working in a college. I don't get paid from my clients. This is a like for them it's a pro bono work. I'm not doing it pro bono in a sense that I'm a lecturer in the college and I get paid from the academy. But for these people,
Mhm.
it's not like they need to come and pay me as Vered, you know? So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
felt very obligated to do as much as I can. Like in a regular time, I would say, oh no, I can't take this client. And I would find someone that will help him. And I would say, I can't, I'm sorry, etc. But in after this crisis, I felt like I need to say yes to everything. And I need to find a way to give service, you know, to broader people, like to make like a sheet rights that you can get injured and know what you can get, like and do like phone calls to parents that were so I felt that I need to be a mom and a lawyer, and it's not something I'm
Mhm.
regular to feel, you know? I
Yeah.
feel mostly that I need to protect my time on my piano and my performances and stuff, but I felt that I need to be a lawyer. And it made me feel a huge conflict. Like I told my husband, I feel like I'm not a musician anymore. I'm passing like all my plans. And on the other hand, I was like, who cares for music? Just for a new song. Who cares about Vered? I just need to help and say thank you. I have a knowledge that can help people, and that's it. And as I'm describing to you my thoughts, I'm feeling very OCD, which I of course have, but I'm saying that I really felt like everything, you know, like I need to be thankful for being able to help. I need to be thankful that it's clear to me that this is a helpful thing to do. But on the other way, other hand, I felt like, but what about music? So I was very like this in my heart and my stomach. But bottom line, that's what I did.
Mhm.
Till maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, when a friend of mine, she's a clinician as well, and she has a son in Gaza, and she asked me if I wrote already song about the war, if like arrived to my writing, and I
Wow.
told her I even didn't try to write a song for like a month. And she wrote to me, you have to. Like you have to sit down and let yourself like be an artist because you're all day with the work, like the war work, you know? That's all I'm doing. Like in a sense that's it's a hard thing to process even for me. So she wrote me such a great WhatsApp text. Like she wrote very pretty about how she feels about me need to write. And like after 5 minutes, it was the first song wrote. So it
Really?
was very, yes, yes,
And I
yes. And then
and
I got back for the piano, which was very meaningful. And since then, I feel like I'm going back, you know, to the music. Like I feel like I want to record it maybe, and I want to keep this song and maybe to think about the plans I had before October 7th. And after a few minutes of thinking of it, I'm like, but who will come to this performance in January? Should you cancel it? Like it's very confusing. It's very confusing because art is so basic, but also it's not.
You have a performance set for January?
Yeah, in which I'm not sure. I mean, all the things I had in November, of course, got canceled in
Yeah.
like in a second, because who cares? People are
Right.
getting murdered, and we have rockets. But for January, it was like maybe things will be okay.
I the reason I'm doing this podcast, this series, because this podcast is a well-being, very, very science-based. Sometimes we get into the very nitty-gritty of certain studies that just came out, and it can go from like anything from mindfulness and fMRI studies to um, female weightlifting, and that sort of thing. And that's what I specialize in.
Yeah,
And then
I did research on you as well, and it was pretty amazing. I didn't catch up with everything yet, but
that's okay.
it was very.
Thank you. But what I'm saying is, I have been doing the regular content that I'm interested in normally, very, very little. And what I realized was, again, it's very interesting. Like 3 weeks into the war, I was leaning for my well-being, for my mental health on you people. When I say you people, I mean artists. And so I think your friend was onto something that was very important, not only for yourself. Like, I think it's fantastic and wonderful and cathartic and important that you're writing for yourself. But as someone who's not an artist, I like today and yesterday when I was really listening to your stuff, that was amazing for me. And I'm in this, and I'm dealing with anxiety, and I'm going to give
exactly
birth.
what you wrote to me. It's amazing you're saying
Right.
it. It's really feeling like it's exactly what you said. It's exactly that
Yeah.
she wrote to me after she's finished listening to music. To me, it's unbelievable that you're saying it. Yeah, like it's not only for us. We need to. Yeah,
right. And and the only people I wanted to interview on my podcast all of a sudden were the people who I felt are really important to our well-being. And when I say our well-being, I mean just the person walking down the street. And so all of a sudden I was only interested in female Israeli artists. And that's it.
Incredible.
So yeah, it is very incredible. And as you're speaking, I'm also thinking about how much work you have waiting for you in your lawyer career and your teaching career, and
yes,
that it's probably just the tip of the iceberg right now. And what's coming is going to be, you have your work cut out for you. But really,
it's true. But also, but I feel what you're saying needs to be my mantra. In a way that I can always help another soldier. And it was true before the war. And I think I should remember it now more than ever. You know what I mean? Like I can always say, okay, I will help this guy as well. I will help this girl as well. But I need to tell myself what you told me, that keeping my art is also being helpful, even though I don't feel it in the same way. I don't feel like the help I just gave, or it's not only narcissists to do music. It also makes sense.
Correct.
That's what I need to remember.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh.
I'm going to.
This war is awful.
It is awful. And I'm actually, I wanted to ask you something more personal, if that's okay. And you can totally feel free to deviate away.
Okay.
But you also have dealt with all kinds of things in your life, and things that other people haven't dealt with. So I'm very interested in, how the personal trauma or personal struggles that you've dealt with, how has that impacted your creative process? And do you feel like you're conveying emotions through your music? Or is it, I mean, yeah, tell me a little bit about your personal life and your music, because I think that, I guess, into when I'm looking forward into the future, it's probably going to be this, what has happened in October 7th and what we're going through now is going to end up also being a part of the tapestry of your creativity.
Yes, well, you have very good questions. I would definitely take you with me to court. So, I guess you're referring to my eye condition.
I
Um,
am. I'm
mm,
specifically
I mean,
referring to that, but you can answer it any way
yeah,
you
sure, sure.
want.
No, I'm very open with it, and I feel that it's like a big shlichut. How you say shlichut? Um,
Yeah, calling.
Help me. Yeah, I think like it's like it's a calling for me to be a lawyer for people with disabilities. I feel like it's a calling to talk about it. So I'm totally
Mhm.
fine with that. Even though it's not easy always. So I have a retina disease that has been diagnosed when I was 22 years old. I'm 35 in 2 weeks. This is maybe the first time in my life I don't have like a birthday wishes and I can't tell you about my plans because we are in such a traumatic and bad situation in Israel. But I'm a very birthday girl. So it's been long, I think 13 years now that I am legally blind and I'm doing like
Mhm.
with my hands, even though it's the definition by law, because I really don't live my life as a legally blind person, even though this is the definition I can be with. So um, I have like I'm not sure how what's the right terminology. It's like it's a situation in which the light photoreceptors in the retina like are dying slowly. So the
Mhm.
focus that need to be so you can write notes, to read notes or read text or recognize people is getting worse. So
Mhm.
I'm very lucky not to have the kind of a disease that you are getting blind from.
Mhm.
Um, I just don't see so well. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't see very well, and it's a big thing, but it's not being blind, which is a
Mhm.
big comfort for a person that got this diagnosis. At the beginning, I mean, it's a bad diagnosis, but you get to a certain point that you'll say, "Oh my God, please let." I hope it's only that, and I'm not losing my sight. So,
I'm just going to interrupt you for
um,
1 second. If I'm
yeah.
not mistaken, and I could be wrong, but I think it's macular degeneration, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's like a cousin of this disease because in
Okay.
this disease that you just said, you're losing your sight.
Okay.
In my disease, which it has another name, it's called Stargardt, it's very very rare. But the good thing is that you're not losing your sight. You
Got it.
just lose your focus, the
Hmm.
ability for the details. So it's an easier condition.
I understand.
Um, but it's I can't drive and my computer is like with huge magnification and my iPhone is like with huge fonts and I can't read notes. So for your question, it was like a huge trauma. For me, it was the biggest trauma in my life for sure. More than October 7th, more than, I mean, in my, like
In your
microcosmos.
personal experience,
Um,
absolutely.
yes, for me, it was like the end of being, I don't want to say perfect, but I will say perfect. My dad says I'm not important enough to be modest. And I love this sentence because I'm not that modest. Um, and it was like a really unbelievable thing. Um, I had a trouble. reading notes with my students. I was a piano teacher at this age. I went to music school and then to law school, and my job was to teach piano and to teach like in a music school. And I thought like I'm not a good pianist enough for my students. Like they got better than me. So I stopped teach them. And I had so many other things that happened after I understood that my sight has begun, the disease has started to work. But no one think he has this kind of problem till a doctor say it. You know what I mean? You don't wake
Hmm.
up in the morning and say, "Oh, I can't read this menu because I'm legally blind." It's
Right.
not how you a normal person don't think. And you were 22. You're supposed to be young and beautiful. So I had a very hard time with it, and I quit music 100%. I don't think I ever said it like I'm saying it right now. I couldn't stand to try and read notes because I understood I won't be able to do it. I will have a headache. Um, and I totally did law school. I just said music is not for me. It's no money. It's too hard with the eyes. I will just be a lawyer, which is pretty funny if I think about it right now, because being a lawyer is also you need your eyes, right? Like you need to to read materials. You need to see the like. I need my eyes with being an attorney as well.
Hmm.
That's the first thing I said is like I can't stand piano. I can't stand and till today the note stuff and the reading music is very hard for me mentally. Um, I'm lucky that my music is not like classical music. You know, it's more like indie and like pop and jazz, and I don't need the notes. I just write
Right.
like it. So and when I do need notes, so always a struggle, but I'm dealing with it.
So there are points where you do
So
need
yeah,
notes.
yeah. When I have like, for example, a gig in which I sing not my music, you know, like one of
Mm.
the performances that got canceled for me was like tribute for Yoram Tarlev, which is an Israeli famous author, and I needed to play and sing there like 12 songs, and it's like not something you just do. You need like the sheets because you have
Right.
another people in the band, and so you need like an iPad or notes or something. So for regular people, it's like, you know, it's like not a big deal. Like you just put your notes and that's it. But for me, you need like to do a magnifier and to do like adaptations so I can see it, but also that the people in the audience can see me so I won't look weird. Um, so yeah, my disability is for sure a thing with my art. I have actually one song that you might heard that I wrote really on my disease. It calls Klafim. In English, it's cards, I guess.
Cards. Yeah. Hmm.
And it's a song that is talking about the fact that like you get your cards, you know, in life,
Mm.
and the way you play with them, like it's your job, like it's your like it's not a destiny, like it's your job to decide what will you do with the cards you get.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I don't think I ever thought about it so clearly, but it's for sure reflecting my art and
Hmm.
yeah.
And I'm as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking like it's going to be so interesting to like circle back with you in a few months and like and see where the political, the national, the global situation that we're in, where it ends up taking you. Uh,
It's interesting for me as well when you like
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And
Um,
I also think that I'm sorry, I stopped you from asking
no, no, no,
something.
no, no, no.
Oh. I'm saying that I also think that my disability is affecting my war perception because at the beginning of the war, when everyone was afraid the terrorists are Hamas are walking the streets. So for me, I don't have the confidence that I would see them. Like for me, the war awakening a lot of things that are asleep. That I'm how you say it
Wow.
I say מדחיקה, distress. I'm sorry for not having the word.
No, kind of,
Like,
I'm thinking
you know what I mean? Like you like
repressed.
psychology. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Like like in a regular times, I know I want to see everything like you, but like we don't think about it. I did a lot of therapy for that 10
Hmm.
years ago. Um, but with this war, it felt like everything is going back and being much more bigger drama. Like I'm going down with my girl for like very close park to my house, but I don't feel confident enough to see danger.
Wow.
So I feel that like every disability, it has effect on routine and of course with war. Like if my husband would need to go for service in military, they didn't call him in Israel. Like we have sometimes when you are not a soldier, they can call you in a war as they did with thousands of people in Israel.
Hmm.
So they didn't call to my husband, but I had a lot of thoughts about it. What will I do if
Hmm.
he'll go? And I felt so
Right.
like dependent, in a regular time, I wouldn't tell you I need him. I would tell you
Right.
I want to be, but yeah, so
Yeah, because what you're describing is extreme vulnerability. Um, I,
yes.
uh, I'm thinking of myself where I'm very lucky that I have sharp senses, and I. It's interesting. Like the first days I didn't even walk out of where we live. Not even a few steps, just because I wanted to make sure that my kid is safe. Everybody's and I just can't. I don't have eyes in the back of my head, and so just with the fact that I have my sharp senses, I didn't feel like it was enough that I don't have eyes everywhere. So I can only imagine what you felt, and you know, double and triple and quadruple checking to see that I locked the door. And I mean, I went really like I pushed stuff against the door. It really messed with our head. So the
Yeah, it really
vulnerability,
messed with our heads, yes.
right. No,
But
but
like
I'm
like
just sorry. Go ahead.
no, I totally agree. I think that the war in a lot of ways just like um increase the regular issues,
Hmm.
Like I always have these problems and difficulties because when you have some disabilities, it affects your life. But in
Yeah.
a war, when everything is so fragile and so scary, and Hamas terror is like killing our people just because they're Jewish,
Hmm.
um, it's like demonize like and increase the the difficulties we have always. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
yeah.
I'm also curious. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I'm also curious
No,
about how.
I'm really enjoying talking to you. So like,
Oh no, we totally have to get a coffee, like regardless.
okay,
But
yes, that's
that I mean,
I was planning to text you after. Can I be your friend, please? Thank you for talking to me.
oh my God, that's hilarious. Same. I mean, it's like, yeah, we're gonna get a coffee, but within the podcast, I was considering how like I'm very affected by the world right now, and like my feelings are hurt by the world, and I'm starting to get over it. I'm kind of like starting to like, okay, I now know the truth. Clearly, anti-Semitism is rampant, and clearly it takes
All
on different
over.
forms. And I was wondering if it reshaped your perspective. At least for me, it like I got smacked in the face. I was like, wow, I did not realize this existed still. And maybe
Yeah.
it sounds so naive, but I was wondering if it reshaped your perspective and like how you see this as, or if you do see this as a collective trauma.
This is an excellent question. I would say, my daughter would say to you, and she's 3 years old, Mommy, wait, I need to think. But the truth is that I feel that my answer is really related to me being a mom, because I was not very occupied with the world or with news or with history till now. I mean, I was very like, um, I live my life. I try to do my best with all of my choices, with helping at the street, with being a musician, like with everything. But I was not like being, oh, I have to live in Israel because I'm Jewish and my grandmother was at the Holocaust. And like, I was like, you can live in Israel, you can live in New York. By the way, I lived in New York and it was amazing. I loved it. A few years ago, my husband went to school there because I told him he needs to do it because I want to live in New York. So I really felt like each one of us can do whatever works for him and it's fine. But I think this war gave me like an observation that there is a big mix for me, and I hope I'm not the only one, between like what's the real truth. I feel the media is got crazy. I don't know who to believe. I really don't know. And I don't know if I should feel safe in Tel Aviv more than New York City or Amsterdam. Like I have no, like my friends in Thai think they, like are more safe than anywhere in the world. But in Thai, you have like a lot of groups that are like Hamas. Like I'm saying that I feel very confused regarding what's the truth. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't know. I'm sure that there is anti-Semitic in a level that I've never known. Like it's unbelievable. And that my mission is to find a place that makes sense for my girls to grow up and be safe and that will have a future. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel I have an answer. I don't know if it should be in Israel or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very sad what I'm saying, but that's what I feel.
No, it's very sad, and it's very I relate to it very much. I think a lot of women our age, also who are mothers, are at this point in time. This is the
Yes,
end of November 2023. We go to sleep and we wake up with a question mark, and a lot of
yes,
things are just unclear.
a lot of things,
Uh,
and I don't think someone has a real answer. And I think this is the main struggle mentally. I think a
mhm,
lot of times in life we have traumas, we have like intersection that you need to choose, and like dilemmas, and there is something that is like really stronger than the other side. Like someone
yeah,
knows the truth. You need to find the professional, you need to find the best yoga teacher, you need to find the best, like, but I don't think anyone has the truth
no.
right now. This is
I
crazy.
you just reminded me of this one post I saw on a Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
You may have also seen the post where someone was looking for her friend, was looking for help for her friend. Her friend is
Okay.
a therapist, and she has just been um, in the hospital and offering. her professional services to people who have been attacked on October 7th. And at this point, we're almost 2 months into this. She is now dealing with PTSD. She wasn't in the attacks, but she's full on PTSD, and she's dealing with not sleeping at night, terrible anxiety, afraid to leave her house. And this is actually from stories that she has been helping people overcome, and things that
from secondary trauma.
Secondary trauma. And what you're describing is like, even our therapists, even our doctors, the people we turn to. I mean, we are all with this incredible, just what is going to happen. We're in like this abyss of the unknown. And
yes,
and it's like, if I was to sit down and write some music right now, then I would end it with the note before the end, so that, like, instead of the C note,
I think this is the reason I didn't get back to the studio yet, even though I'm talking to my producer for a week now, because I can't understand. I didn't decide. I didn't succeed to choose. Should I do a war song, the new one I told you about, or should I do the song I wanted to do in September? Like, in which door? Like, should I choose?
Can you do both? Can you do both?
I can do both. But what first?
Interesting. I would do, you know what? I would like, if I was wise, I would say to you, the answer is within you. But because I totally have something to say.
I love it. Please do.
I want to say to you, do the war song first, so that you can end with the comfort of what you were working on in a peaceful time. It's like just leaving the restaurant after dessert, rather than but that's my feeling. Like, I don't
metaphor. Want. No, I like this metaphor. I like it. I will think about it after a little. I like it. I can relate to that.
I can't wait to see.
I really want to dessert now. Thank you.
Go for it. Go for it. I think it's definitely time for some chocolate. I really look forward to hearing what you do next, and following you and seeing what's next for you. And
thank you so much for having me. It was really an amazing, honest, inspiring conversation with you. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing, and also the art needs you. You need the art. We need you. So, go back to the piano and being Vered, because that's so important.